Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show that takes you deep into the world of spirituality, energy, and truths we may never have questioned before. Today, we will explore an interesting concept. What if the life we are living right now is like a game? How would that make you feel? The body is a radio, the mind is the listener. Have you ever wondered why we think about certain things? Why does the voice in our head sometimes not feel like our own? In the world of spirituality, there's a fascinating idea that our body is like a radio and our mind is the receiver. We aren't the ones creating the waves, but we are receiving various forms of energy waves into ourselves. So, where does the voice in our head come from? Sometimes it may not truly be our own thoughts, but rather waves of commands in the brain that are connected to what is called the mind or consciousness. We are characters in the game of life. Imagine that this life is a game we are playing. We are the characters in this game. But the difference from a normal game is that in a typical game, we are the only player controlling that character, right? In the game of life, we are just the character, and there is someone or something constantly controlling us. And what's interesting is that there isn't just one controller. These controllers, whether they are called gods, demons, angels, spirits, or monsters, are just metaphors. In reality, they are the energies that come to define our thoughts and actions. Let's try to understand these energies more clearly. If you have a thought to help someone, that's a connection to the energy of an angel. This is a positive energy that pushes us to do good. If you are full of anger and resentment towards someone, that is a demonic thought that is overpowering you. If you succeed at something, that is a connection to the energy of a god that brings you success. Can you start to see how every thought and every action is connected to these energy waves? We aren't alone in this world. We are connected to a vast network of energy. The cycle of rebirth and the simulation. What about the system of reincarnation? From this perspective, it's also part of this game. Birth, death, and rebirth might be like restarting the game so we can learn new lessons in each round. And the concept that we are in a simulation makes the picture even clearer. If this world is just an illusion created for some purpose, what is that purpose? Breaking free from the game. So, how do we break free from this game? If we are characters being controlled, what is true freedom? Breaking free might not be about leaving the game entirely, but about understanding the rules of the game, understanding how different energies work, and choosing to be our own controller instead of being controlled by those energies. When we understand that our thoughts are not always our own, and we have the power to choose whether to accept or reject certain energies, that is the beginning of true freedom. Life is a complex game, but it's also full of wonder. Understanding ourselves, our thoughts, and the energy around us will help us play this game wisely and lead ourselves to true liberation. So, what kind of game do you think our life is? The voice in your head signals from the universe. Often, we think that the thoughts that pop into our heads are things we have created entirely ourselves. But in reality, a spiritual perspective suggests that the voice we hear in our heads is actually a signal that comes from somewhere in the universe. Imagine that the universe is full of countless energy waves, and our minds are like special receivers with the ability to catch these waves. When our minds catch a certain energy wave, that wave is translated into a thought that we hear in our heads. Everything is a system. Frequency defines identity. The important thing we need to understand is that everything in this universe operates as a system, including our minds and thoughts. And this system influences the creation of our identity. When our minds attune to a certain frequency often, whether it's the frequency of anger, happiness, fear, or compassion, those frequencies are gradually absorbed into us, little by little, until they become a part of our habits. For a simple example, if you often receive thought waves filled with anxiety, your mind will become accustomed to that frequency, and you will start to feel anxious more often, until anxiety becomes a part of your personality. On the other hand, if you choose to attune your mind to the frequency of peace, compassion, or creativity, your mind will gradually absorb those energies, and you will become a more peaceful, compassionate, or creative person. What do you choose to be? This is the interesting part and where our power lies. Even though some thoughts may not be directly our own, we have the right and the power to choose what kind of frequency signals we allow into our minds. If we know that the voice in our head is a signal from the outside, we can question it and choose not to give importance to signals that aren't beneficial to us. So, what frequency is your mind attuned to right now? And what frequency do you want to attune to in order to create the identity you want to be? Negative thoughts, brain chemicals, or attracted energy. From a modern scientific perspective, our thoughts and emotions are explained by the workings of brain chemicals, right? When certain chemicals are released, we feel happy, sad, angry, or anxious. This concept is widely accepted. But what if we look at it from the perspective of energy that we discussed earlier? Negative thoughts might not just be brain chemicals malfunctioning, but they might be low-frequency energy waves that our minds pick up. And when we catch that frequency often, our brain chemicals might be released according to that frequency perception, creating a cycle that keeps us stuck in a spiral of negative thoughts and emotions. DNA, the blueprint of life and spiritual inheritance. Let's talk about DNA for a moment. Scientists tell us that DNA is the genetic code that determines all our physical characteristics, from hair and eye color to our physical appearance. DNA is the blueprint that contains all our information from birth. But do you believe that DNA might be more than just a physical blueprint? It might be a much more complex blueprint of life than we think. Some spiritual beliefs suggest that for us to be born, we are born through the lineage of our own family. Imagine that when two people fall in love, it doesn't just mean the union of two individuals. It's the moment when two lineages can send a spirit or energy to be born to these two people. This is the concept that a reincarnating spirit might not be born randomly, but has a pattern that is connected to our bloodline. Many spirits might circle within the same lineage, being born repeatedly as ancestors, descendants, or even ourselves in different lifetimes. Erasing the clan, the truth behind the metaphor. This concept intriguingly explains the origin of a shocking phrase. When you want to erase a system, you have to erase the clan. From the spiritual perspective we've been discussing, erasing the clan doesn't just mean physical destruction. It means cutting the energy cycle or destroying the system of spirits that circulate within that bloodline to prevent those spirits from being born again or from inheriting a certain system or karma. Of course, this is just a metaphor reflecting the belief in the inheritance of energy and spirits within a family lineage. It does not promote any violence. Instead, it opens our perspective to see that some ancient sayings might have a deeper meaning than we've ever understood. Unlocking your blueprint. If DNA is our blueprint and we are part of a system of spiritual inheritance within our family lineage, how can we unlock or change this blueprint? Can we choose not to accept negative energies or cut the cycle of certain habits passed down through our bloodline? These are the questions we will explore in the next episode. And what about you? What are your views on DNA and spiritual inheritance?